Ave Dominus Nox, brothers, this is I, the Night Painter, back again for another episode of the Night Painter Paint and Rants. So, yeah, on to the rant. This is a story from way back. This was when a time, from the time of I think the first edition of Kill Team. I am not sure. Anyway, it was 5th ed, 40k. I think this was 2011, 2012, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think this was the first time we had a Kill Team tournament. So Goofy's store from the last episodes, his store decided to hold a Kill Team tournament. 100 points if I'm not mistaken. 100 points? Anyway, it was a long time ago, so I can't really remember. I was running guards. Imperial guards. Nowadays they are known as Astro. What? I'm not sure. I don't say that name. I grew up in Imperial Guard, so IG Imperial Guard, that's what I was running. Just to give you a background of those Imperial Guards, I'm running a full complement of heavy weapons like the Heavy Bolter, what do you call this, plasma guns, the last guns of course, and then of course the, what do you call this, the grenade launchers. So, yeah, it was a full guards list, and it was a fun list. Anyway, so I entered the tournament, and then first match was against a Tau. It was a draw. Okay, I was up against a friend of mine, so it was a fun match. Anyways, just fun, you know. I joined these things just to, just to have fun, and at the same time, just to showcase my Penal Legion back then. My Penal Legion, they were all wearing orange, and then they have these P Etherbacks. Because again, Penal Legion stuff. Anyway, second match. This is the meat of the story. So second match, I was up against, of course, the mainstay of our rants here, Guy B. This was back in the time where Guy B was really active in the community. I think he's still active. No, not really. But yeah, he was active back then, and he joined the tournament. It was a he joined. And what he's running is a Blood Crushers of Corn list. Blood Crushers, if you know 40k or, AOS, even Fantasy, I think, they're really scary guys. They are cavalry. I think toughness 5, if I'm not mistaken, was, and they just cross the board really quick. And we were paired up for the second match. And then I remember the table we were supposed to fight, and it was basically a clear table with just a little bit of obstacles here and there. But basically, it was an open field. So, to Guy B's advantage, of course, because Blood Crushers is again a cavalry, and they cross the board really quick, right? Really quick, 12 inches. And then again, 40 Kill Team back then is just 40k scaled down. So basically all the rules of 40k 5th ed, you can just apply to Kill Team. So there is a run, like you have the movement and then the shooting. If you don't shoot, you can choose to run. So you can run as well. So you can just imagine 12 inches plus whatever you roll dice in. So they're really fast, So I can't really remember the specifics of the match. So but what I can remember is what happened was what I did. I call it castling, kind of like in chess where you can just, But me, in my case, I castle. I go into a corner of my board, and I just stayed there and just waited for the guy to come in. And then once, he entered the kill zone, right? That's when I start shooting. So again, what happened was he entered the kill zone. I just started shooting, and it was with everything, heavy bolters, and I was picking my shots because what I can remember is like I think it was there was a front row and then there's a back row. So obviously I was shooting at the front row because these are the guys that are just gonna get real close to me really fast. Because again, cavalry, we got to a point. I can't remember the specifics or what turn it is, but we got to a point where they got close. Really close, and it was my turn. So he ended his turn. They were really close. So, and then my turn. So if we go to into after my turn, it will be his turn. He'll just go charge me. That's it. So, but it was my turn, right? And he was really close. So what I did, I was shooting with everything, and for some reason, um, the dice gods are with me. So I hit him with everything, and it was fives and sixes. So they were all hits, right? With heavy bolters and the plasma guns, and and even the grenade launchers. Can you imagine at that close range? I even did the grenade launchers because I was desperate. Again, these are blood crushers. They're not, they're really scary guys. And once they get close to me, that is just basically game over. What am I gonna do? What is a a lone Imperial Guard, troop gonna do against a blood crusher of corn? He's just gonna get, murdered. And again, I was shooting with everything, and I was hitting. Okay, so now we get into the what do you call this? What do you call this? The contention, because again, kill team back then is 5th ed scaled down, right? So in 5th ed, we are commanding squads, right? Squad of 10, squad of 5, squad of 20 if you're orcs. So if you're gonna play kill team back then, we scale it down. Now we are not commanding squads, we are commanding individual troops, right? So that goes for everything. Close combat, shooting, moving. Because again, so, from my understanding, that is the case. Because that's what I've been doing. I am not shooting as a squad, I am shooting individually, right? So this guy shoots, and this guy picks who is he going to shoot. In this case, it is the front row guys, because again, these are the guys closest to me, and these are the guys that are gonna charge me the next turn. So that was I was picking. But so when I was hitting them, and supposedly it was time to take off the models, what Guy B did is he started wound allocating, kind of like in 5th ed, which is again kind of weird because again this is skill team. So what he did was he allocated the wounds, and it was like, oh, this wound goes here, this wound goes there, and this wound goes here. And then the ending was, instead of the guys at the front row that are supposed to be dying and should be taken off the table, it was the back row guys that are being taken off the table. So you can imagine my frustration with it, because that was the whole point of my strategy, is just to just pick them up, pick the the front row guys. But that's not what happening. And I can still remember his reaction. He was like, well, this guy, dead, and then this wound, I was like, oh, and I was like, I was young back then. I was pretty new in the 40k scenes. I was like, oh, is that supposed to happen? I don't think that's the... Well, you can check the rules. You can check the rules, man. Right there. It was a bad impression of Guy B, but that is the gist of it. So what happened was, I just let it go. Because again, this is Guy B at his prime, and he was really whack. If you can't remember what whack is, win at all costs. And he was like, he really intense. And what happened is, again, front row guys stayed, and the back row, those are the guys that left the table. Next, and on his next turn, he just charged. That was pretty much game over, like I said. And, well, yeah, that's what happened. So what is the moral of the story? Moral of the story is, check the rules and do not go by the word of these whack players, because whack players, what they will do is they will intimidate you, and they are intimidating for some reason, because most of the whack players are veteran players. So you're thinking, well, they know better, because they are veterans and shit. But veterans are, they're still humans as well. They're still humans, so they are prone to making mistakes. They're not infallible as opposed to what they think they are, but they're not, so you have to check the rules. And of course they're gonna challenge you, just like Guy B challenged me. It's just like, go check the rules. I didn't check the rules, that was my fault. It was my responsibility to check the rules, because again, I was playing, so you gotta check the rules. So if you're hearing this and you are a 40k player, doesn't matter what you play, always check the rules. And if there's still contention with any of the what's happening on the table, you can just check with the TO, the tournament organizer or tournament officer, tournament official. Check with him or her, not to be sexist and all, but you should check. You should always check, and just not, just to clarify things. I mean, if he's right, you're wrong. Hey man, it's all good. You learn something. But if you're right and he's wrong, well, you might win. You'll never know, and you just prevented a whack from cheating. Not saying Guy B cheated, So if you're hearing this and you say, "Oh man, NightPainter hates on Guy B," I don't hate him. Okay, this is just a story. Okay, this is whack in general. Win at all cost players in general. The Guy B is not just the only whack player around. Okay, so if you're hearing this again, check the rules. Check with the TO, tournament official, or any organizer that you can get your hands on. And yeah, just be attentive and check the rules. And don't take it if it's wrong. Okay, just you have to make your stand. Okay, I was new back then. If you're a newbie, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with ruffling a few feathers. Especially with whack players. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, just a little story of mine. Sorry. Anyway, rant over.